Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Wednesday, August the 26th. It is, of course, the big day today with Nvidia earnings in the after hours. That's basically what the market's been waiting for this week. As you can see, another day where gapped up, a lot more consolidation coming into market open. So today is one of the days that we actually don't have a gap up here in the markets or a gap down. So a very small gap coming into today. We, of course, do have Nvidia earnings in the after hours. We have some red folder news right in the morning here as well. So we'll talk about this here in a second. With that being said, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Z Norris. Good morning, Calvin, Sinna, Sawkiss. What's up, Gerald? Good morning, Knight, Maria, B Roots, Lamit, Andrea. Good morning, Juan, Robert, Andy, Alejandro, Cody. Good morning, Wallace. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Let me pull up the economic calendar here along with the earnings calendar and we will get started. Okay, so first things first, as you can see coming into today, we do have some red folder news that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, core PC price index, along with the prelim GDP. So for today, we will kind of go over some charts for the first 30 minutes, and then we'll wait for this news release that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do have some more some orange folder news tomorrow with the unemployment claims and day one of the Jackson Hole Symposium. And then, of course, on Friday, we do have Fed chair speaking as well. The main thing, of course, today is going to be the Nvidia earnings. As you can see, Monday, Tuesday, fairly slow, at least this week so far. A lot of consolidation last week here as well. So Nvidia earnings, expecting a decent reaction here. We'll see the overall market's reaction with Nvidia earnings along with its guidance in the after hours. But that's going to be today after close. Today after close. So that's what we have, at least for the economic calendar. Let me just get rid of this. And let's head on to the charts. Starting off with the SPY, of course. Let me grab some water here, and then we'll start off here on the major indices. Okay, first things first, as you can see for the Qs, at least for the SPY, we've just been consolidating the past 4 sessions. In between that 768 along with that 762, in between this area, it's been very difficult to trade just because there's been no volatility here in the markets. So for Monday's price action, tight range, yesterday's price action, fairly tight range in the New York session here as well. And we're just kind of in between this 768 along with this 762. In between here, there's not too much opportunity on the overall markets. I would like to see a break above our 768 for some upside here in the markets, or now really the break underneath the bottom of the range, which is going to be that 762 for some downside. If we're in between here, which right now we're currently right in between the middle of the range, I don't really like anything that I see in the markets. We could be looking for some opportunity around equilibrium, which is really the 765. But in my opinion now, it's just better to be hands off until we can break either the top, which is the 768, or now the bottom of the range, which is going to be that 762. We'll see the reaction that we have coming to market open here as well, but as you can see, a lot more consolidation here. If you go into the hourly time frame, fairly similar thesis, a lot more consolidation as of late here on the ES. If we do want to see some upside, we'd like to break above this 77.20. If now we want to see some downside, we would like to see the break of our Monday's lows, which is going to be the 76.60s here. So a lot more consolidation. We're just going to be a little bit more hands-off. If we take a look at the QQQ here, the key technical levels that we have marked out, similar thing. We're just going to mark out that 716 along with that 704. We did also break underneath that 710. You can see yesterday price came back down into that previous day highs. A little bit of buyers are stepping in, and we're back at this 710 coming to market open. So if we're on the hourly time frame, at a minimum for the QQQ, if we want to see some downside here in the markets, would like to see a break underneath our previous day lows here for a potential move down in towards our Monday's lows, or now we'd be waiting for the break underneath our Monday's lows for a continuation towards the downside. If we do want to see some upside here on the QQQ, I personally would like to see the break of our 716, right? We could see some buyers step in here off our 710, which is that previous day low bounce, but I would like to see it now break above that 716 for continuation towards the upside. So for the SPY, I like to see it break outside this range. For the Qs, I'm going to mark out this range at a minimum. If we do want to see some upside, I like to see it above our previous day highs along with that 716. For some downside, the Qs is a little bit weaker. We can see some downside underneath our previous day lows, which is that 710. If we take a look at the NQ here on the higher time frames, the key technical levels that I do have marked out, we can mark out that previous day highs here, which is that 29,500. If we want to see some upside, we can just draw at this level. If you want to see a push towards the upside, needed above that 29,400. If you want to see some downside here, a break back underneath flip for a potential move back down in towards that 29,000. So for the Qs is a little bit weaker than the SPY, but we are right at a key level of support. And then for the SPY, we're still maintaining above that 762 coming into today. So a lot more range in the markets. I'm not expecting too much today with Nvidia earnings in the after hours. Today is one of the days that we did not have a major gap in the market. So we could see some nice price action during that New York session open. So we will keep an eye out on now. We can also mark out our opening ranges plus our pre-market highs and our pre-market lows as well. If we take a look at the SMH coming into market open, you can see right now we're right at that 560, multiple touches here. If you want to see the break underneath that 560, potential push towards the downside if we reject off this area. If you want to see some upside, I would like to see it now above that 560 along with our previous day highs for a hold for a potential move back towards the upside. Of course, if we're taking a look at the IWM on the daily time frame, we are still holding a higher time frame level of support, which is that double bottom here on the daily time frame. We just like to see it maintain above our 298, and now we like to see it back above our 300 for any sort of pushback towards the upside. So for IWM, we like to see the break back above, hold above this 300 for a potential move back towards the upside. So for the major indices today, we're fairly neutral coming into market open. We're just going to keep an eye out on that previous day lows. And then for the SPY, we'll keep an eye out on this 765 coming into market open. With that being said, let's take a look at some of the tech names that we have coming into market open here, starting off with Tesla, and then we'll make our way down. We'll, as I mentioned, go over some names until we have some red folder news, which is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Okay, let's start off on Tesla. On the Qs towards the downside, how much respect would you give that lower wick? Are you talking about this lower wick from yesterday? I wouldn't put too much importance on that one. Really, the major key area is just going to be that 710. We do have that. As you can see, this is a very key level. We bounced earlier from here. We did break underneath on Monday, but we reclaimed back above. So based off the hourly time frame, if we hold this, we can see a move back up in towards 715. If we break underneath this 710 hold, then we can see a potential flip for a move all the way back down into the 702. All right, if we take a look at Tesla here, this one is just kind of right at this 350 general area. This is kind of that higher time frame area that we broke out from, flat top. Once we broke above, continuation towards the upside. Now we're retesting this general area. The key levels that I do have marked out on Tesla, I have our previous day lows, which is at 350, along with that 348. So the main levels, I kind of have two levels here, but it's this general area here on Tesla. If we want to see some upside, we can maintain a bullish bias as long as we're above this 347.50 for a pushback towards the upside. If we reject, get underneath this 347.50, then we can see a potential flip back towards the downside. So for Tesla, we can just mark out this whole area and price. I know it's pretty big, but this is kind of the main level that we have, right? Pretty solid, a little bit of a wider area, but it's really this 350 all the way down into that 348. As for AMD, this one yesterday, we did see some buyers step in above our previous day highs off our earnings low. So we had a mini mean reversion yesterday. Once we're able to get above our previous day highs, nice flip back towards the upside. And we also did gravitate back up in towards our 477. As you can see currently, we are getting back underneath that area. So multiple touches here on AMD. The hold above, we can see this pushback towards the upside. A break back underneath, we can see a flip back down in towards that 470. So for AMD, that's going to be the key levels that we have coming into today. As for Nvidia, what are the key levels that we have marked out? The key levels for Nvidia is going to be that 215. You can see this is the area that we broke down from. Price came up yesterday, rejected off that 215, pushed all the way back towards the downside. Today, of course, we do have earnings in the after hours, so we're just going to be a lot more hands off. We'll just wait for after earnings, and then we'll wait for a post earnings move on Nvidia. So we'll just talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, but Nvidia earnings is going to be key. As for Apple, what are the key technical areas that we can have marked out? Let's just get rid of some of these intraday levels that we have marked out, but really the main levels for Apple is our 315. I would consider this our range right here. So you can see a lot of consolidation, tried breaking above, holding, but once we broke back below, we're now in between the range. So if you want to see upside, we need to see a break back above that 315. That's going to be key here for Apple. Right back above that 315, we can see a flip. Besides that, I'd be a little bit more hands off on Apple in between that 315 along with that 308. I'd just be a little bit more hands off. As for Google, we did see some buyers step in off that daily gap yesterday. We wanted to see some continuation above our previous day highs. We weren't able to get above that 348, and we're just coming back down. Really, we are currently stuck in between this range here on Google. So in between here, for me, is kind of a no trade zone here for Google. Above that 348, we can see continuation. Right now, we're currently dead smack in the middle of the range. I'd be a little bit more hands off. Microsoft, this one, the key technical areas is going to be that 490. The break above that 490, we can see a flip back towards the upside. That's going to be key. The rejection of this 490, we're just going to see a little bit slower price action here on Microsoft. As for Meta, we talked about that bounce here. So Meta on the higher time frames in a very good spot. On the weekly time frame, you can see we're just kind of bouncing off this key area of support once again. On the daily time frame, we did fill this daily gap. And we are kind of bouncing off this like 540 general area. So nice buyers that stepped in, came back down. We want to see this reversal here on Meta. What are the key levels here on the lower time frames? Some of the levels that we have marked out is that previous day highs. You can see once we broke above that 560, hold for continuation towards the upside. Now we're back up in towards that 580. You can see this is the area that we broke down from. If you want to see continuation above that 580, hold for a flip back towards the upside. If we reject off this area, then we can see a potential move back down towards our 560 here on Meta. But this one is fairly bullish today, above our previous day highs. Let's just keep an eye on continuation above our previous day highs for a move up into 580 today here on Meta. As for Amazon, a lot more consolidation. So a lot of these names are consolidating here with the general market. I do like Amazon here off that 260. I'd like to see a little bit more buyers step in for a potential move back towards the upside. Key levels that I do have marked out here on Amazon is going to be that 263. The break above, hold above that 263. We can see this flip for a potential pushback towards the upside. As for Netflix, this one has been moving up nicely. We did also break outside of this downtrend that we had marked out, this hourly downtrend. Nice break, retest, and now you can see continuation towards the upside. Netflix here on the daily looks really solid. As you can see, once we were able to reclaim back above that 75, buyers have been stepping in. Next levels I have all the way back up into 85 and really 90. That's one of the main levels here for Netflix. If we can break above this kind of 82-ish area, then the next level is going to be all the way back into the area that we broke down from. So we'll keep an eye out on Netflix for continuation. Key levels that we have marked out here can now be that previous day highs. Other levels we have marked out, which is just this level at 81. You can see yesterday break, retest, and we had some nice continuation. As for SpaceX, the key technical levels that we have marked out is this 140. We can just mark out this general area. If we do want to see continuation, you can see a level of resistance turn into support, turn back into resistance. If we can break above this 140, hold, continuation towards the upside. Currently with it rejecting, we can see a potential push back down into that previous day lows and potentially below here on SpaceX. So key levels today, let's keep an eye out on that previous day highs. Other levels we can mark out previous day lows here on SpaceX coming into market open. As for a few other tickers here now, we can take a look at some other names. We have some red folder news in roughly 8 minutes here. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can now drop them in the chat. We'll go over some, as I mentioned, and then we'll take a look at the red folder news that we have in about 8 minutes. Let me grab some water here as well. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below. All right, let's take a look at Palantir here. Palantir on the daily time frame. Overall, just kind of consolidating. We need to see a break of that 180 if you want to see continuation. Currently, we are just kind of consolidating in this general area in between this 180 along with that 170. Right now, I would like to see a potential mini bounce play here. I'll offer 170 for a continuation back towards the upside. Another scenario, the break above that 180 is going to be key for a pushback towards the upside. So that's what I have here on Palantir. As for MU, not really too much going on MU, just kind of consolidating right around this 920, used it as support, turned into resistance, and now we're just kind of consolidating right at this general area. If you want to see a flip, push back towards the upside above that 920, the reject, we can see a push right back down in towards that 900. So could go either way, depends what the market wants to do. You can see very tight range, not really too much is going on. Tried breaking above the previous day highs yesterday, but just kind of consolidated in this general area. SNDK, we had a nice gap up yesterday, but rejection, and now we're pushing back towards the downside. If we're on the hourly time frame, I would just like to see this level hold, which is that breakout. You can see coming back to retest. Let's keep an eye on that hold of that 1440 for a pushback towards the upside. So for SNDK, most likely is going to come back down for that retracement of that 1440 coming into market open here. As for INTC, my main level here on the daily time frame is going to be that 85. You can see a little bit of buyer stepped in on Monday. As long as you can maintain above that 85 here on the weekly time frame, I'm going to maintain more of a bearish stance, a bullish stance on the weekly. As for the hourly and the daily, we are a little bit more bearish, as you can see here on INTC. For the key levels that we have marked out, we had that 90 key psych, which is key technical level. You can see how many touches we've had here, gapped up into this area, and we just rejected yesterday and moved straight back towards the downside. So for INTC, underneath our previous day lows here, hold underneath that previous day lows, potentially you can see a move down into that 85 on the higher time frames. WDC previous day highs is going to be key. SK Hynix. Right now, we're just kind of consolidating more on this name right underneath that IPO low. But yeah, a lot more consolidation here, even on this one on the daily time frame. MRVL, this one does have earnings on Thursday. This one had a nice gap up yesterday above our previous day highs, push up into that 247. A little bit of rejection here right off that higher time frame key level. For MRVL, of course, we're going to be waiting for earnings on Thursday, but the break above our previous day highs, we can see a move back up into that 252. A rejection, we're going to see a push right back down into that previous day lows and potentially that 230 here on the higher time frames. As for a few other tickers, Hood had another push yesterday after pushing last week. Nice buyers that stepped in right off that 104. This one on the daily time frame, as you can see, higher lows are being built. Next level all the way back up into this 120 here. So let's keep an eye on Robinhood above our previous day highs. Some of the levels that we have marked out is that 110. Last week's key levels maintain above that 110, hold for a push all the way back towards the upside here on Robinhood. As for a few other key levels, SoFi, if we can get that break above that 1920, and then some other names we'll take a look at here in a second. But yeah, let's see. We'll go over some more charts here. Some of you guys are saying Walmart. Walmart had earnings recently, and we ended up pushing towards the downside. So gapping down here on Walmart, if we're looking at this more so on the higher time frames, Walmart is coming right back into a key level, which is this 2025 high. You can see once we broke above, now we're coming back down to retest. I do like Walmart for the hold of this 100 for a pushback towards the upside. That's our weekly higher time frame break and retest. If we're taking a look at the lower time frames here now, we like to see the break back above this gap fill. If we can break back above that gap fill, we can see a move back up into that 114. So key levels that we're going to have marked out is just going to be that 107 here on Walmart. Okay, let's go over a couple more tickers here. We do have around 2 more minutes until some red folder news. Does it make sense to play AMD when Nvidia has earnings? AMD, the volume's been a little bit lower. The reason why you play AMD more so is sympathy, plus there's no elevated IV on names that are sympathies compared to something that's going to have a higher IV like Nvidia. So today, we're just going to be a little bit more patient. If we do want to take trades, right, we're going to not take any trades on Nvidia just because it has earnings tonight. If we do want to look for an alternative, AMD or some other semiconductors. Let's take a look at BE. BE's pushed up nicely. You had a nice break and retest off our 210 yesterday. If you want to see some continuation on BE today, above our previous day highs, 220, hold for a continuation towards the upside. What time is it there now? Currently it is, I think it's 4:30 p.m. Let's go over a few other tickers. Nvidia up pre-market. We're anticipating a pump until close. Nvidia today, right, it is, I'd say, up a very small amount. I wouldn't expect too much a move regardless if Nvidia has a big move or not today. The big move is going to come in the after hours. So it could have a big move pre-earnings, but even then, right, the move is going to be small in comparison to the earnings that we have tonight. Let's take a look at mRNA, which is Moderna. On the daily time frame, you can see after that first initial pop, I do like Moderna for a continuation. As you can see, we're coming up. We had a little bit of rejection last week after earnings. The daily time frame is holding up nicely. So if we go mark out kind of the EMAs that we had a nice base, a bunch of inside bar days, and we're able to break above that previous day highs. So for mRNA, nice break above that previous day high yesterday, nice continuation towards the upside. Now for Moderna, we just want to see the break of this previous day high. So we can mark this out. Above our 160, we can see a hold for a push up into that 170 here on the higher time frame. So that's what we have on Moderna coming to market open here. All right, we just had some red folder news here as well, which is the core PCE price index. We'll take a look at the reaction that we have. So a little bit of a pop, and then now with 8:30 having, with the 8:30 news release, we're kind of dropping right back down into our previous day close. So seems like fairly small reaction, fairly neutral here on the overall markets. As you can see, yeah, basically came in line with expectations. So if we're taking a look at the core PC price index numbers month over month, actual was the same thing as forecasted, so in line with expectations. Prelim GDP in line with expectations here as well. We have the prelim GDP price index, which came in a little bit higher, but basically came in line with expectations here. So not too much of a reaction here with the overall markets, and we're just right into our key technical levels. So coming into today, what's the game plan here for the overall markets? We're just going to keep an eye out on this 710 here on the Qs. If we break underneath this 710, hold underneath this 710, then potentially we can see a flip back towards the downside here. We don't really have a small gap, but if we do break underneath that previous day lows, this is something we can keep an eye out for. Upside, in my opinion, is going to be a little bit more difficult. You could see a mini bounce here, but I like longs above that previous day highs along with that 716. As for SPY, I'm personally going to be a little bit more hands-off inside this area. We could be looking for a short underneath that 765, but in my opinion, it's just been very difficult the past couple sessions just with the markets ranging a lot more. So I'm going to be a little bit more hands-off until Nvidia earnings tonight. We'll keep an eye out on that Qs, as I mentioned, underneath that previous day lows and that 710 here. As for my main watches today, we'll keep an eye out on Tesla. I don't really have any sort of higher time frame thesis here in the markets. If Tesla does flip underneath, potentially we can see a mean reversion back towards the downside. As for AMD, this one's breaking back underneath. Nvidia has earnings tonight. There's not too many names that I'm looking for on some upside. Meta is fairly strong here, so we can keep an eye on Meta for the break above this 580 for a potential push up and towards 590 and above. Meta is really the strongest ticker here in the markets. And then potentially Netflix above our previous day highs here as well. And then for some other tickers, not really too much. Maybe like a SpaceX rejection, or if we can get back above that previous day highs. And then for the rest of the names, as you can see, a lot more kind of consolidation here. INTC has been quite weaker compared to the markets. So we can keep an eye on INTC weakness underneath their previous day lows for continuation towards the downside. And then, yeah, besides that, really not too much that I like here in the markets. A lot of things are pushing or more so ranging here with the overall market. So yeah, at least for me today, I'm going to be a little bit more hands-off. I've been more hands-off the past few days. I didn't take any trades yesterday just because of the range. We'll see if we look for anything today, but we do, of course, have Nvidia earnings, which is going to be key tonight. And yeah, with that being said, I'm most likely just going to call it a session here. Going to get ready for market open here now. So if you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watches, that of course is in the description below. And yeah, with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. We'll take a look at Nvidia earnings, post earnings after. We'll see the reaction that we have in the after hours, and then as I mentioned, we'll take a look at that tomorrow morning. So that being said, I will see you guys all then. All right, take care everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Peace.